Hello, hello, and welcome to my video. Today, I am going to talk about something that I actually see happening a lot. So, you have a podcast and you've decided that it's time to get on YouTube. So, you are super excited, start uploading your video straight in, and you give it the exact same title as it's going to appear on your Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You are going to just copy and paste the description, and then you are just going to mash up a thumbnail within the first few minutes because that's the kind of afterthought. You are like, what the heck? The content matters most, right? So why should I bother? But here is the thing. You could probably be doing 10 times better if you paid attention to a few different metrics that YouTube is very happily giving you to fix that. So in this video, I'm just going to go through that with you. So in here, you can see is a video. This is a brand new YouTube channel, only 9 subscribers, so very, very fresh. And we're going to have a quick look at what metrics YouTube is giving us. So let's take a quick look. So first of all, it's a new channel, 13 views. Yeah, it's not going to hit hundreds straight away, and it's going to probably be the same for you. Although you might be lucky, or maybe you have existing distribution platform where you can email your content out or share it on social media and people will come in and watch. So that could be the case. In this case, this is just YouTube organic outreach, nothing else. It's just pure kind of luck, I guess, or maybe it isn't. Let's find out. So one thing that I would suggest looking at is straight away before anything else is going into reach and looking at that impression click-through rate. Because realistically, YouTube works in the way that is going to put impressions out to a lot of different audiences to figure out, so who is your ideal viewer? What kind of audience do I need to find for you? So especially at the very beginning, they are going to sort of, I guess, like seed out different audiences and see who bites. So that's fantastic. And I love YouTube for that because that's the only platform with the algorithm smart enough to try and find your audience actively. Whereas obviously with audio, that is not quite the case. So love YouTube for it. But then what happens is obviously YouTube is going to show to the audience and they are going to look at the thumbnail, read the title and decide, do I click through? Okay, yes, this looks interesting. I'm going to go in. Okay, so this is how that impression click-through rate is being calculated. Now, if the video doesn't look interesting or if it's just not on topic, they will be like, nah, thanks. And that obviously brings that impression click-through rate down. So we want to keep that as high as possible because that is a great signal to YouTube to say, hey, the audience you've just shown this to is really interested. Not only that, they are clicking through, they are watching the video. Great signal for YouTube to continue showing your video to more people. Okay. Now, how can you impact that impression click-through rate? Right, there are 2 things that you can do to make a massive difference, and that is create a really good thumbnail and make sure that the title corresponds to the thumbnail, because the 2 talk together. Okay, so you're telling a story in those 2 little elements without actually realizing so. Because as humans, we are naturally drawn through our eyes to what we see first. We won't read the text. We will look at the image first. And then if the image hooks us in, we are going to read what's underneath, as in the title. So you want to make sure the 2 of them correspond together. So it's kind of like, use a keyword, image with a face that really, where it maybe translates some sort of emotion. It just depends, obviously, on what the topic is. This is a channel about self-improvement discovery. So we are going very low key in terms of thumbnails. They are simple, very easy to understand so that you can immediately see what the topic is about, kind of very easy on the eye. And then the titles, we make sure are under 50 characters. This is important. And again, many people forget about that. Under 50 characters so that it's easy to read it, because you want people's eyes to go naturally from the thumbnail and kind of go into the title and very easily go from one to another, so that it's not like a really lengthy thing. It's like condense it to 50 characters. That's what you want to do. 50 characters is important because that's when you view on mobile, it doesn't cut off with the 3 dots. So whilst, yes, YouTube will enable you to put up to 100 characters, all right? But you want to make sure it's actually only 50 characters or less, right? Because it's that ease of naming the file. The other thing to look out for, and this is maybe just my OCD, I don't know, but I quite like to make sure that the title is capitalized in the right places. Sometimes you can put an emphasis on a word and make it all caps. And hello, the dog is saying hello right here. Yes, you are included in the video. Yes, you are. And you can make sure that you emphasize with all caps, but don't overuse it. Really use it only when it truly you want to highlight something. This is amazing, great results, fast delivery, all that sort of stuff. You see it all the time on YouTube videos, right? So like that kind of stuff really, really works. You want to monitor that click-through rate. So to start with, by the way, when you just launched your channel, YouTube is not going to be giving you the data straight away. So you will need to wait a little bit before that data starts coming through. But if you are noticing that the click-through rate is tanking, like 2%, 3% or less, you've got to take action. Start experimenting. Change that title. Change that thumbnail and see whether you can move the needle. Because if you think about it, if you get 1,000 impressions on a video, the 2% versus 5 or 7% translates to a lot of views, right? And then what if your video gets 10,000 impressions? It's like if you don't hit those metrics right, you are losing potential viewers because you haven't paid attention to your thumbnail and your title. And those two are really the most important. I mean, that's as simple as that. That's what brings people into your world. Then the next step is looking at how many people stay watching beyond the first 30 seconds of the video. But that you will need to wait for my next video to explore, as it's in a way the next step. The only other thing that I would say is make sure that your thumbnail and your title kind of send the message you share in the first 30 seconds of your video, because there is logic to it all, and YouTube algorithm is incredibly intelligent, incredibly structured, and therefore it's really easy to follow if you know what metrics to look at. And thankfully, YouTube gives us all the metrics we need to make our videos a success. So don't wait, look back. You can go through your back catalog of videos. It's not too late. YouTube continually surfaces our content to new potential viewers, especially if you post regularly on YouTube. It will absolutely do that. So go back to videos that still get views today, because that small tweak that will make difference to the amount of views you get in the long run. So it's worth to do that. And then your percentage will be different to mine, and different to somebody else, because our niches will be different and audiences will interact with our content differently. So don't look at one size matters for everybody, because that's not the case. Make sure you know what is your average and try to improve your average, because it's kind of like with sport. You keep getting PBs and get better and better and better at that game. And that's how you should look at your own YouTube game, rather than looking how everybody else is doing. Make sure that what you do continually improves, so you see those arrows up and up, so that you know you are on the right path to success. Thanks for watching.